Hi, welcome back to West Coast Geeks. I'm your host, Joaquin. How we doing, people? So today's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual, Part 12, the letters N and O. And we're glad to have you back, my boy Eric.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So we didn't do a video last week. Eric was sick, and then I tried to do some solo videos, I was thinking, but every video concept that I came up with was like, oh, I want to talk about this. I was like, oh, but I want to do that with Eric. So, and then and then Friday came and I was just like, oh well, sorry people. Okay, so we got this going, and for those of you who are new to the channel, hello. And this is going to be an in-depth review. I say this every video, or practically every video. Just let people know that Eric's going to be reading most of the descriptions. Like a few of them we didn't because it was just those rules really don't apply anymore, and we're trying to keep these videos under an hour. So if we don't go into every little detail of the monster manual, we're sorry, but that's just the way it is. And let's just start the show. So they know it's going to be a long video. Here we go. The Naga, mid-level guardians most DMs don't use. So, tell us who the Nagas are, Eric.
All right, we got the Naga, not to be confused with Nagas. We got
For those of you who
we
don't
have
speak
three,
Spanish, hold on, we gotta
right?
clarify that. For those of you who don't speak Spanish,
No,
if you
no
say
subtitles.
Naglas, it's like butt or your ass. It's like it's slang,
We
but it's
have
funny.
right.
Yes.
We have three types of Nagas. We have the Guardian, the Spirit, and the Water. Naga are snake-like creatures with good brains and magical abilities. They are encountered in warm climes in most cases.
Wait, hold on.
Guardian,
Sorry.
excuse me.
I don't normally I don't try to stop you, but good
Uh,
brains. I was like, who the hell wrote that?
Right? It's like a Tinder ad in the 80s.
Okay, go ahead.
Good brains, great personality. All right. Guardian Naga are wise and good. Guardian Naga are found principally in sacred places, guarding treasure of lawful good minions, or as watchers over some evil. In addition to poisonous biting for 1 to 6 points of damage and constricting for 2 to 8 points, a Guardian Naga can spit poison at an individual at up to 30 feet range. And if the victim fails to make its saving throw versus poison, the spittle will kill.
Wait,
What?
I think that's
Save or
3 feet.
die, folks.
It doesn't
Save or
say.
die.
Is that 30? I thought that looks like a 3.
Well, yeah, but the double mark for some reason in the 80s when they did these books were multiplied times 10.
Oh, really? Oh, well, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. All right.
Yeah,
Damn, that's
they had a
brutal.
really weird. Yeah, just spit
30
kills.
feet, 6 feet, and you gotta make a save or you die.
Yeah. Save or die.
We gotta
Man,
do a video, save or die.
right? Save or die. That's a new video for sure.
Yep.
Guardian Naga also have the ability to use clerical spells as if they were 6th level clerics. Guardian Naga are covered in green gold scales with silvery triangles along the back. Their eyes are golden. Spirit Naga are totally evil. They seek to do harm whenever and wherever possible. They prefer dwelling in ruined, dismal, or subterranean places. In addition to a poisonous bite for D3 points of damage, these monsters can permanently charm any humanoid creature that meets the gaze of these monsters unless a saving throw versus paralyzation is made.
Oh,
Man, permanently charm person. Done.
yeah, but can't you just dispel that though?
It says permanent.
Yeah, but it's still magic, so they're under the effects. It wouldn't dispel magic.
Maybe, yeah. You would probably have I don't know. You'd have to see what the hit dice were, and
Yeah, I don't know.
you'd have to be a higher level than the Spirit Naga. And they're able to use magical and clerical spells at 5th level ability, and they're colored black. They have black scales with crimson bands. Their heads are bulbous and have a very human appearance, even to coloration and hair. Really interesting. And finally, we have the Naga water. Found only in clear, fresh water, these creatures are curious but quite neutral in attitude. They seldom attack unless threatened or attack first, as they generally inhabit places many feet beneath the surface of a pool, lake, or river. They are seldom disturbed in their lair. In addition to the poisonous bite for D4 points of damage, Water Naga are able to employ magic spells of 5th level ability. Water Naga are emerald green to turquoise in reticulated patterns with chocolate brown and pale jade, green, or dark gray and olive. Well, that's a mouthful. Their eyes are pale green to bright amber.
Well,
Those
there
are
you
the
go.
Nagas.
And, they didn't really see much play. They still don't. I don't know.
No, they really don't.
I don't know if like even in like in fifth edition, like you just they're hard. They're like there's like the creatures that like all these are cool, and then you forget to put them in.
Right?
It's like one of those.
Forget
So
about them.
all right. So next up we have here is Neo Audiog
Yeah, the Neo Audio.
and the Night Hag.
This is a
So real quick, in first edition, Night Hags ran solo, only one appearing.
yeah.
And just like in 5th edition are hard to kill, there are only 2 hags in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual. So first edition, 2 hags. There was no green hag yet, or any other hags they've come out with, which I was like, really? I had to double check through that.
Really? They didn't have the green hag?
No, I was like,
Really?
wow, this is crazy.
Interesting. So you have the night hag, and I wonder what the other one was.
It just we're gonna actually deal with it. The sea hag coming up.
Oh, the sea. Oh, that's right. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
the sea hag is vicious because I
Yeah.
have encountered the sea hag, and as a DM, I've used the sea hag. I think I've only used the night hag like once. But all right, before we start getting into the night hag story, let's
Right.
give the Neo Audiog its due.
All right. We have the Neo Audiog. Are they a larger, more intelligent species of the Audiog, which we'll encounter later? They conform to the general characteristics of Audiog and are even more aggressive in their hunting of prey. Also, the Neo Audiog are slightly better at telepathic communication. Some specimens of these creatures reach 8 feet in diameter and a height of 3 feet or more.
All right,
Oh, interesting. They look like they would be bigger than that from the pictures.
yeah.
The hide of a Neo Audiog is even tougher than that of an Audiog, although the appearance is similar. Well, that doesn't say a whole hell of a lot about them.
No, but look, it says their size that they're large, so they're like a height
Yeah,
of 3 feet or more. Okay, so maybe like the babies are like at least three
yeah,
feet,
maybe, yeah, a little
and then the
baby Audiog.
yeah, but um, yeah,
All right.
aren't these creatures the ones you find like in the cities now for like
I'm
garbage
not sure.
disposals and stuff?
Yeah, they might be. I've never really run across them. I've always thought they look kind of interesting, but I never really, not interesting enough to keep looking into them.
Um, Yo, well, speaking of an interesting creature, a
Oh,
night
yeah.
hag. I love the art. I gotta say.
Yeah, I do like that. All right, the Night Hag. The race of Night Hags rules the convoluted plains of Hades, and they are seldom encountered elsewhere. In their own region, they are numerous, but they appear but singly on the material plane, always in search of very evil persons to slay and bring to Hades to form another larvae, a valuable commodity to both demons and devils alike. So they like a lot of larvae in Hades, apparently.
Yep.
If a night hag finds a very selfishly evil person, she will cast a powerful sleep spell which affects even up to 12th level humans, unless a saving throw versus magic is successful. The night hag then strangles the sleeping victim. If the sleep Jesus, if the sleep spell fails, the hag will visit the victim nightly in ethereal state, intrude upon the victim's dreams in order to cause him or her to become ethereal also, and then ride the victim until dawn. What the hell is going on here?
Because they're on your back in theory.
I know. What the hell? The night hag cannot be removed from the back by the victim, and each nightly ride permanently drains 1 point from the victim's constitution. When a 0 constitution is reached, the victim is dead. The night hag returns to Hades with a larval soul. Night hags hate goodness, and they will attack any creature which is of good alignment as long as the possibilities of success appear favorable. Night hags are able to employ a magic missile spell 3 times per day, missile causing 2 to 16 hit points of damage when it strikes. It can likewise use ray of enfeeblement, like I got hit by one, 3 times per day. It can become ethereal at will, as mentioned previously. Night hags also have the power to know a creature's alignment and polymorph themselves at will. If hard pressed, a night hag can attempt to gate in a demon type or barbed devil, a 50% chance of the gate opening. The hag dislikes doing this, as she must then reward the demon or devil with a larva. They are totally invulnerable to sleep, charm, fear, fire, and cold based spells. It requires a silver, iron, or +3 better or weapon to harm a night hag. Night hags are able to astrally project themselves, but in order to do so, they must be in possession of a special periapt which each forges in Hades. Taken from a hag, she can leave the plane she is in at the time of the loss. The periapt will cure diseases. Periapt will cure diseases which the possessor contracts, and it gives a +2 on all saving throws. However, in the hands of a good creature, the periapt decays 10% with each usage, eventually vanishing. Night Hag is a hideous dark blue violet color with black hair and glowing red eyes. Her taloned hands and feet have nails of jet black. That is the Night Hag.
Yes. So my DM, um, he punished our group because we insisted upon playing evil and neutral evil and chaotic evil characters one campaign.
Mm,
And because it was my idea to play this, and I convinced his younger brother Joey and this other guy. And I go, look, if we all just stick to it, I looked at Joey and I was like, and you stay with us, then he's got to let us play evil characters. So he protested, and then he let us get to about fourth or fifth level, something like that. And we do the adventures normal somewhat, but we didn't have to go and do the good things, and we'd rob people when we wanted to, and all the stuff like that. He had a night hag after a while come and attack me, and then because I didn't fail my sleep save, the night hag was riding on my back, and then I was done playing. So it was up to the other two players to go and get the right help, which was hard to do because we had screwed over so many people. And the only thing that saved me at the very end was that I had like a constitution of 17 because I was playing a fighter.
Mhm.
And we finally like had pulled up all our resources, and they sold my magic sword, which pissed me off. We got a cleric, and we were able. Those two were able to battle the night hag, but I missed out on an entire adventure just sitting there watching them do all this. My
A whole
dear,
session or a
a
whole
whole
adventure?
a whole session, just one session.
Oh, man.
And then after that, the next section, we were feeling like we were pretty good about ourselves. And then the cleric found out about our evil deeds, and he let this local paladin hero know, and him and his entourage hunted us down and killed us.
And killed
And
us.
killed us. I was
Oh,
like, and
man.
I remember the whole session. I was like, if I only had my magic sword, because I was pissed
If
because
only I had that magic
I had
sword.
a Vorpal blade at fifth level, dude.
What?
Yeah.
Did you have a Chiron mount too? You
No,
might
I
as well
didn't.
have.
No, but I had a Vorpal blade. It was funny because like Jeff would sometimes let the players roll on the charts for the magical items. He's like, "Well, let's just see what
Oh,
you
wow.
found."
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So I rolled really high, and
But
he's
did
like,
yeah.
he would go, "Hmm." I go, "What did I get?" And he's like, "Well, now you gotta roll this other chart." And I go, "Okay." And I'd roll. He'd be like, "Ah, well, I guess you rolled a weapon." And I rolled high. And he's like, "I rolled like a 90 something," and he was like,
Yeah.
he just shook his head. He's like, "You found a Vorpal sword.
Oh,
After I
shoot.
identified it was magic, and I was like, "Yes, I have power." I was like, "None shall stand before me, all shall fall." And I and I was like, acting like a little fool at the age of 9 or 10, around there. And I got what was coming to me. So that was
God,
my
what was coming to me?
yeah, I'm pretty
I
much
had riding my back,
yeah. I mean, it was fun for one adventure, one session
right?
to have a Vorpal blade and just be mowing fools down and all that stuff. And I think I even killed 2 high level monsters with the Vorpal blade because I rolled a 20.
Oh,
It
shit.
was just like, bye.
Like, that's it. This kid's gonna get it.
Yeah, it was after that that I was like, the next day, we start off the session. Okay, so you awake from your sleep, but before that, Joaquin was like, Joaquin, make a roll. And I was like, what do you mean make a roll? And I made my sleep roll. And so then he was like, okay. And so then we played our normal venture. We took our sleep. And then he's like, and then he told me that a night hag had attached himself to me. And now I was, incapacitated. And I wasn't going to do nothing for that session.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're like, "Man, you guys suck."
Yeah, pretty much, man. I was like, man. That's why I always tell like players, I was like, you really don't want to run evil characters. There's just more bad
Yeah,
things that can
it's too
happen to you.
easy.
All
Yep.
right, let's move on.
Down to the
Nightmare,
nightmare.
Nixie and the Nymph. So nightmares amounts of most evil beings in D&D, and you're gonna find out because you're gonna hear about it in the description. And with all the water creatures in the monster manual, there's only a few modules that feature water features.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, it's not a very popular.
No, and you would think it kind of would be with all the monsters they give you and all that, and people are just
Mhm.
like, "No, I don't care."
Yeah. F your water,
I don't care how much time you just spent on your water world. Where's the
right?
island? Because that's where we're heading.
Where's the island? We're gonna spend 20 levels on some island.
But you could
Oh,
go
man.
under the sea. Nope. I saw Little Mermaid. Wasn't
Nope.
impressed.
Under the sea.
All right. Speaking of seas and darkness, the nightmare.
Nightmare. Look at this picture of the nightmare. Look at his ears. The ears look like webs.
Yep.
Maybe he's oh, interesting. Just notice that. Anyway, the nightmare, also known as demon horses and hell horses. Nightmares are creatures from the lower planes. They are ridden primarily by the more powerful demons and devils, as well as by night hags. On occasion, they serve as steeds for undead such as specters, vampires, and liches. Nightmare attacks with great fangs as well as burning hooves. These creatures breathe out smoking hot cloud during combat. It obscures visions by blinding the eyes and choking its opponent. Unless a saving throw is made by the opponent that attacks at -2 to hit and damage dice. Nightmares can fly, become ethereal, and roam the astral plane. They hate material life and attack viciously, even without a rider to command them. The Hell Horse is a gaunt and skeletal creature with a huge head, glowing red eyes, flaming orange nostrils, and hooves which burn like embers. The coat is dead black, and the creature's mane and tail are wild and rugged. All right. That's the nightmare.
Yeah, they're pretty cool beasts. They're like, it's bad enough when you have like you're dealing with a vampire or a lich, and then they're riding around on a nightmare.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, come on, really?
Yeah, it's like, and look at the damage that they do: 2 to 8, 4 to
Yeah.
10, 4 to 10. So
Yep.
it bites you for 2 to 8, and then it kicks you in the
Fiery
head.
hooves.
Yeah, for 4 to 10 damage. I mean, they look cool. They are cool. That's why they're the nightmare. Let's move on to the Knicks
I want to know. I'm trying to figure out how they get 4 to 10 points of damage.
because it's fire damage included. Fire
Oh, I know,
damage.
but what do you roll for that?
Um,
What die roll is that?
I guess you would just roll. Yeah, you would think. like it would be easy if it did 4 to 12 because then you just roll
Oh,
3 4-sided
three,
dice,
three,
right?
4 plus 1.
Yeah. All
Each
right.
one would be D4 plus. No, that still doesn't work.
It'd
Four
be
plus one.
it could be 2d4 plus 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 2D4 plus 2.
Or you're
Yeah.
rolling a
That's
D10 and then you're like, "Sorry, I rolled under a 3, got to roll again." And you're
right.
pissing off people.
That's crazy. All right. On to the Nixie. This little fool. Nixies are water sprites which inhabit lakes. They can, but seldom do, venture onto land. The Nixie weave dwellings of living seaweed, so it is 90% unlikely that their lair will be noticed at any distance under 2 feet. Furthermore, Nixies will have giant fish to guard their lair, gars or pikes, and they obey simple commands given by the Nixies. They can also summon 10 to 100 small fishes, quite
Whoa.
the aquarium. Nixies delight in enslaving humans. What?
I forgot about that.
If one or more approach within 30 feet of a group of Nixies, the latter will generate a powerful charm spell, one such spell for each 10 Nixies, which require the victim to save versus magic at -2 on the die roll. If a charmed person has a dispel magic cast upon them before entering the water, there's a 75% chance the charm will be broken.
Whoa.
But once in the water, there's only a 10% chance. Man,
They're saying even with dispel magic, they're like, "Nope, there's still a
nope,
chance."
not in the water, sucker. If a human is charmed by the Nixies, they will take the victim to their lair for 1 full year. Thereafter, the charm wears off and the victim is allowed to go free. Doesn't say anything about being able to breathe underwater.
Yeah.
Here we go. Uh, During any period of such enslavement, there's a word you won't see anymore.
No.
The Nixies will keep a water breathing spell on a human captive. Each Nixie has a power to cast a water breathing spell on any creature or dispel it once per day. It lasts for 1 day. Nixies are armed with long daggers and darts. Well, they better hope they cast that in time. What if they, the next day they sleep in and they're like, "Oh, I forgot to put my charm on Joaquin."
Oh, wake up.
Joaquin's in,
Floating.
Joaquin's in the slave room going, sounded like a murloc. The latter use spears as water missiles. Each Nixie carries a weapon. They're 25% magic resistant. They fear fire and very bright light. Flaming sword or a light spell will keep back the Nixies. A continual light spell will keep them at bay until they can negate it by summoning small fish to crowd around the light and dim it. What?
Yeah, they don't like light, I guess.
Yeah, Nixies speak their own language and the common tongue. They appear to be very comely humans with greenish skin, dark green hair, and silver eyes. Their skin is lightly scaled, and hands and feet are webbed. As you can tell from the picture, he's waving. Look at me with my webbed hands.
Either that or I thought he was doing like the Vulcan. Live
Right?
long and prosper.
Live long and prosper in my cave for a year in my seaweed house.
Could you imagine that? It's like after a year, he just goes, "You know what? You bore me. Get out."
Yeah. You bore me. Get out, human. Hope you can swim fast. Hope you can hold your breath. That's
I
messed
mean,
up.
like my thing is like, why after a year? Is that some sacred council oath? They're like, "Look, slavery is bad. Then we're only
Yeah.
gonna keep you a slave for a year." Yeah,
If it was over a year, then we'd have to be evil creatures. But if we only keep you for a year, we're still neutral.
yeah.
Oh my god.
We shouldn't be joking about
All
slavery.
right.
All
Yeah.
right.
Stupid Nixies. That's why you're not in any other books.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
They might be in fifth, but go on and read the next. The
Yeah,
nymph.
I didn't know if they were or not.
I'll check
All
that
right,
right now while
onto
you're
the
reading it.
nymph. These beautiful, ever young appearing women inhabit the loveliest of wilderness places, grottos in the sea, clear lakes and streams, and crystalline caverns. They dislike any form of intrusion and they have means to prevent it. Oh shit. Nymphs are able to dimension door once per day. They are able to use druidical cleric spells at 7th level ability once per day.
Oh,
Looking at one with calls permanent blindness.
What?
Permanent blindness.
Oh, okay. So that
Yeah.
goes back to the to Greek mythology
Yes.
when you're not
Yep.
supposed to be looking at them because they're like naked, I believe, running
Yeah, they
around.
run around naked all the time. So, like,
Yeah.
"Don't look at us naked, bitch."
They didn't like that.
Yeah, save versus magic or blind.
Or blind.
Or blind, save or blind. If the nymph is nude or disrobes, an onlooker will die. What?
Save or die.
Save or die versus magic. Man, you can't. So even if they have clothes on,
Yep.
don't look at me. Or you'll go blind. And I like if they're nude or disrobes. So if you see them nude, you catch them naked or something. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Or
Little
if they
pervert.
disrobe, that means they're willingly getting naked to kill you.
Yeah.
That's evil,
You
man.
even get a save on that?
Yeah, save versus magic or
Oh my
die.
god. Yeah, that is crazy. You're like, you're the most beautiful
Nuts,
woman I've ever seen, and I will be the last thing that you like.
right?
Like, damn,
Man,
that is harsh.
intentional.
Yeah,
There's a temper. What?
The Nixie's not in fifth edition. Neither is the Nymph,
Yeah, it took them out.
for good reasons.
Evil. There's a 10% chance that the nymph will be friendly if approached by a good creature without latter first glimpsing the nymph, i.e., calling or other prior notice. By calling, really, really, I'm gonna place a call. Hey, let me call this nymph. It has a totally different meaning now than it does that back then, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
By calling. Hope you got her number. Similarly, if a nymph sees a human male with 18 charisma, I remember this because this happened to me.
Uh-oh.
If a nymph sees a human male with 18 charisma and good alignment before he sees her, it is 90% probable that the nymph will be favorably inclined towards the person. I had a cavalier back in the day. Remember Unearth Arcana?
Yeah.
He had 18 charisma. Only this chick, this nymph kidnapped him.
Yeah, they were known to
I
do
was
stuff
like,
like
"What?"
that.
I had to make another character. I'm like, "Dude, you suck." 'Cause back then we used to roll. We used to roll for our abilities.
Yeah, and that
Well, I
dictated
rolled.
what you could be, your race, everything. We're gonna get into
Yeah,
that when we get into
yeah,
the player's handbook. I mean, that was
dude. I rolled ridiculously that day. I rolled like three 18s, a 17, and two 16s.
that's why your
Like
DM just
literally,
said
that's what I rolled.
that's why the DM was like, you know what, you've had enough fun.
Yep. Well, and that's why I chose a whatchamacallit, a Cavalier. Because remember, Cavaliers, you had to have like 3 or 4 16s to even play one.
Yeah, because you also got to start out with like full plate mail or something like that. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
you had all that stuff, dude. And then like you had from ability score 15 or 16, you rolled percentiles. And every level you got to add a percentile.
Yeah, no, they're
So basically, once you get up there in levels, you would have 18s in all your primary, like, strength, dex, charisma, constitution. Yeah. So you had to roll super good to be a cavalier. And then they were like, yeah. And my DM was like, no, you're going to die.
pretty
Like, man,
much. And
here's the
not
nymph. This way you're gone.
and I'm thinking about bringing these two creatures back. I like
You better not.
all this stuff that I'm looking through our first monster manual. I'm like, this has got to come back.
I'm burning them down.
So, before we jump over to the next page, we have a picture of a giant octopus. It looks just, he actually looks kind of scared, doesn't he? Like, oh.
Yeah, he's sad because that Nixie's going to put him in his freaking seaweed house.
Well, maybe he just saw a human being enslaved. He's like, oh my God,
He's
I
like,
feel so
man, what are they
bad
going
for
to do to
you.
me?
I feel so bad for you. So here we go. The orchid's jelly, giant octopus, and the ogre. Slimes, oozes, jellies, puddings are unique monsters that can kill
Oh,
a party
yeah.
member quick. First
They're
through
my
third
favorites.
level, you meet with any of those, the odds are one of your party members will die because they're like, what's this? And then they find out and they're dead.
Yep.
And then the ogre, the classic enforcer for goblins, dude.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
something about the goblins. They always trick the ogres into working for them.
Yeah, they're wily little
Not
things.
like a
Sneaky
big
kids.
group of them. They just find like one ogre, and they're like,
Trying
"Oh
to get
yeah,
'em.
you'll be our leader. Here, have this food. Have a little bit of gold." And then like when the
Go kill
trouble,
those humans.
Yeah, then yeah, when the real trouble comes, they're like, "Go get him!" And then the ogre's like, "Oh, okay," and then he gets killed. Just like goblins are like, "Thank you," as they run away.
Right?
All right, so here we go. Orchid jelly.
Ochre jellies are a form of giant amoeba. They seep out in dungeons, hunting for any form of flesh or cellulose to devour. They far prefer the former. Their amorphous form allows them to flow through small spaces, and they can travel along walls or ceilings with ease. The fluids excreted by these creatures dissolve flesh 3 to 12 hit points per round.
Ooh,
Striking the ochre jelly with lightning bolts simply divides the creature into one or more smaller creatures, each doing one half normal damage. Cold and fire based attacks have their normal effect. I love a jelly and a slime and a pudding and all those.
yeah,
I
no, they're
use
fun
them all the
monsters,
time.
dude. Like
Yeah, they are great.
high level parties will encounter these, but in the form of you fall into a 10-foot pit and 8 feet of it is jelly or green slime or a pudding or whatever.
Up or a cube or something.
Yeah, like that's how you deal with high level parties.
All
All
right.
right.
What a
Speaking
onto the
of
giant
which,
octopus. Giant octopi inhabit warm waters of medial to shallow depth. Their lair They lair in wrecked ships and undersea caves. They hunt at night, snatching and dining on any form of life which is vulnerable. They will readily attack swimmers or seize small vessels in order to eat the crew. These creatures are malicious and have a cunning bent. Several will cooperate to overwhelm a larger ship if opportunity presents itself. Vessels grabbed by giant octopi will lose way and come to a full stop in 3 turns. What?
now they're big.
Giant octopus will generally attack with 6 to 8 of its tentacles, using two to anchor itself. Each tentacle striking only does d4 points of damage, but unless the member is loosened or severed, it will do twice initial damage each melee round thereafter. The octopus also has a vicious beak, which can bite nearby prey for 2 to 12 hit points. Any creature will be struck by one tentacle at a time unless it is larger than 8 feet tall. There's a 25% chance that the creature struck by a tentacle will have its upper limbs pinned, and 25% chance that neither limb will be held. What? That's weird.
Yeah, they had to.
Both limbs are held. Yeah, that's odd. Both limbs are held. The creature has no attack with them. Only one is pinned. It's a -3 to hit. If both are free, and it still attacks at -1. Each grip is equal to 1820 strength. Any creature with a strength equal to or greater than 1820 can grasp the tentacle and negate its constriction. That does not free it. And the octopus will immediately seek to drag the victim to its mouth to eat it. To break free, the tentacle must be severed. Each tentacle takes 8 points of damage. This is in addition to the 8 hit die the octopus itself has. Oh, man.
Yeah, Tiamat jealous.
Hey, I know. This is better than Tiamat. Tiamat getting worked by a giant octopus. If 3 or more tentacles are severed, it is 90% probable the octopus will retreat. Blowing forth a cloud of black ink, the octopus will then run to its lair and hide in some other nearby place, or hide in some other nearby place, changing its color to blend with its surroundings. The ink cloud completely obscures the vision of any creatures within it. Oh, so yeah,
Dope.
sneaky gets. And the ogre. Ogres can be found in virtually any terrain, including subterranean places. They are ugly tempered and voracious. Ogres are also fond of treasure, and they will sometimes be found serving as mercenaries in the ranks of orc tribes or evil clerics, or joining with gnolls for a profitable raid. Ogres mingle freely with trolls and some giants, and they are at times enslaved by certain demons. If 11 or more ogres are encountered, there will one who will be a leader ogre. Ogres are If ogres are found in their lair, there will be 2 to 12 females that fight as regular ogres, but do less damage. Ogres speak their own language, as well as that of chaotic evil, orcs, trolls, and stone giants. For being stupid, they speak a lot of languages, man. I think people underestimate the ability of speaking multiple languages.
Yeah.
Description: the hide of ogres vary from dull blackish brown to dead yellow. Their specimens are a sickly color of violet. Their warty bumps are often of different color, or at least darker than their hides. Hair is blackish blue to dull dark green. Eyes are purple with white pupils. Teeth are black or orange, as are talons. Ogres wear any sort of skins or furs. They care for their arms and their armor reasonably well. The lifespan of an ogre is not less than 90 years.
Pretty good for it
Interesting.
over.
Yeah, I didn't think they lived that long.
Yeah, and you know what's weird? Because like they have number of appearing 2 to 20, and most of the time in like fifth edition D&D, you don't encounter a big group of them. Like
Oh, you don't?
that's why I like the information they have here for the DM is like if you have an ogre lair, some will be females, got little kids. This will give you a chance to do some role playing because they usually will have a prisoner who they use as slaves or
Mhm.
food sometimes, and
Yeah.
these are just interesting little things and tidbits. The ogre is a classic monster that most first through third level characters will encounter by the time they reach fourth.
Mhm.
That's classic right there.
Yep. Ogres.
All right,
Everyone loves ogre.
ogre mage and the orc, spellcasting
Ooh.
ogre. Who knew? And the
Back
orc
when
is a
orcs were piggies.
yep, and the orc is a classic monster in fantasy lore. In fact, in most fantasy lores of any movie that you think of, there's usually
Yeah.
orcs
Yeah,
in
yeah.
there.
There's always orcs. Hell, even some sci-fi, there's orcs.
Yeah.
Like a Shadowrun.
Yep. All right.
Right.
Ogre
So before
mage.
we get to orcs, the ogre mage,
The
the
ch-
Japanese ogre. Japanese ogres or ogre magi are not as rare elsewhere as they are in this part of the world. They normally seek uninhabited places in which to lair, typically in a fortified dwelling or some secure cavern complex below ground. From this location, the ogre magi will foray to capture treasure and humans for slaves and food. If encountered in their lair, the ogre magi will always have a chief of great strength, +2 on each hit die, attacking and saving throws as a 9 hit die monster. In addition to other kinds, in addition to the other kind of his what? In
indicated by the
addition to
dice
the
roll.
others of his huh?
Yeah, of the others of his kind.
Indicated by the die roll. Yeah, that was weird. That didn't make any
Yeah.
sense. Proofreading. There will be 2 to 12 slaves and prisoners in the lair. Ogre Magi are able to perform the following feats of magic: fly for 12 turns, become invisible, cause darkness, polymorph to human or similar bipedal humanoid form from 4 to 12 foot in size. Regenerate 1 hit point per round. Interesting. Lost members must be reattached to generate, so they can't just regrow it. You gotta have the arm.
Yep.
Once per day, they can also do any of the following: charm person, sleep, assume gaseous form, and create a ray of cold the same dimensions as that of a cold wand, which does eight-sided die of damage. 8d8. Japanese ogres speak their own language, that of normal ogres, their common tongue, and their alignment tongue. Description: ogre magi have light blue, light green, or pale brown skin. Their hair is typically an opposite and darker color, blue green, green blue, except that brown skin ogre magi have dark yellow hair. Their nails are black and their teeth and tusks are very white. Horns are very Our horns are ivory colored. Their eyes are dark pupiled with white centers. Their apparel is typically colored in patterns familiar to their homeland. Oh,
Yes.
interesting. Ogre
Yeah.
Magi.
So before we go into the orc, real quick, think about the first level spells that they allowed to do. They didn't say per day. They
Hmm.
can become invisible. They can cause darkness. Yes, they can polymorph into human form, and they get to regenerate. But the ability to go fly and then go invisible
Yeah.
and then makes you think that the part like he just disappeared and he comes back and he gets you in the back. And what is that?
Yep.
Cast cold wand spell, which is like the ice storm.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, it's crazy.
brutal, man. I I've used an ogre mage, and my group at the time was not happy because I almost killed every one of them. Only two members had survived. It was like a cleric and the paladin were enough to kill him and then heal everybody. But that was
Man,
brutal, dude. I mean, after that, they looked at me and they're like, "I go,
hate
you,
you.
and it was only one." And I just looked at him. I said, "Hey, man, I could have drew six at you, but I just thought that was too much."
Obviously, it would have been too much.
Yeah, but they were only like, I think they were like fourth or fifth level, so they were kind of getting
Oh
up
wow,
there.
yeah.
So it was a brutal encounter for them, and they got a lot of treasure from it, and they rescued some people who the ogre mage was using as slaves, and one of them was like royalty, and they completed
Mhm.
that part of the quest, and so they got like some land out of it and some other things. So
Nice.
it wasn't like it was for nothing. I mean, it was
Mhm.
high risk, high rewards, but
Yeah.
that was fun for me. All right, let's
All
talk about
right.
our favorite here, the orc.
The orcs. Orc tribes are fiercely competitive, and when they meet, there is a 75% chance that they will fight each other unless a strong leader, such as a wizard, evil priest, evil lord, with sufficient force behind them, is on hand to control the orcs. Being bullies, the stronger will always intimidate and dominate the weaker. If goblins are near, for example, the orcs are strong enough, they will happily bully them. Orcs dwell in places where sunlight is dim or non existent, for they hate the light. In full daylight, they must deduct one from their die rolls to hit, but when they see but they see well even in total darkness with infravision. Known orc tribes include the following: Vile Rune, Bloody Head, Death Moon, etc. For every 30 orcs encountered, there will be a leader with 3 assistants. Oh, orcs have assistants. Yeah, this just goes on to explain how many orcs you run into. They tend to use typical sword and flail, sword and spear. They don't use a shield. They prefer to fight two handed,
Well, it's just weird because they show the illustration of them carrying.
right? They all have shields. Those are the old piggy orcs. Leaders and above will always have 2 weapons. The sub chief is with the group. Standard is always oh, they'll have a standard. Look at that. Fancy. They'll have flags.
Yep, because of their tribe.
Yep. +1 on dice for morale checks. Orcs are cruel and hate living things in general,
Mm,
but they particularly hate elves and will always attack them in preference to other creatures. They take slaves for work, food, and entertainment, torture, etc. Not elves. They kill them immediately. Orcs are accomplished tunnelers and miners. Here we go again with the damn mining.
I don't know why.
Tons of bitches. They're in there with the kobolds and the goblins,
Well,
gnolls,
you know why
miners.
I think they put these in there for like uh players like I'm gonna call Michael out. That just doesn't make sense. How would they know how to make tunnels? They were like, I'll tell you why. Because
They're
they know
accomplished miners.
they're accomplished tunnelers and miners. Since
Oh
when?
shit!
Since the beginning of time.
Right since the beginning, says so. So says Gygax. So says them all. Oh my god! They note new or unusual constructions underground 35% of the time, and spot sloping passages 25. These are freaking pig dwarves.
Yep.
And the majority of orcs speak goblin, hobgoblin, and ogre, in addition to the languages of orcs and lawful evil. Again, half a dozen languages.
Yeah.
Orcs appear particularly disgusting because of their coloration: brown or brownish green with a bluish sheen, highlights their pinkish snouts and ears. Their bristly hair is dark brown or black, sometimes with tan pouches. Even their armor tends to be unattractive, dirty, and often a bit rusty. Orcs favor unpleasant colors in general. Their garments are in tribal colors, as are shield devices or trim.
There's your shield.
Typical colors, yeah. Typical colors are blood red, rust, mustard yellow. They live for 40 years. Half orcs, special side note.
Ooh.
As orcs will breed with anything, there are any number of unsavory mongrels with orcish blood, particularly orc goblins. orc hobgoblins, and orc humans. I'm not even going to say, I'm just going to keep reading.
Oh,
Orcs cannot crossbreed with elves. That's why they hate them so much.
yep.
Half orcs tend to favor the orcish strain heavily, so such sorts are basically orcs, although they can sometimes 10% pass them off as true creatures of other stock. Goblins, hobgoblins, humans, etc.
They're a
Oh,
bunch of
that
freaks,
makes
dude. Orcs get it on, man.
orcs and goblins.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, filthy orcses.
Yeah, I mean, uh, any orc stories we'll save toward the end because we'll talk about that. But
Yeah, yeah.
here we go. Last page. Giant otter.
Ah,
Ow.
giant otters. I love otters.
The
I tell you,
Otiag
we
and the
Odiaks.
owlbear again. So, more giant filler animals, like I said in a previous video. There's over 350 monsters, but 50 of them are fillers. So here are two right now. The Odiag, did we
Right?
just talk about him? And then,
Yeah, it's just
the
a dumb cousin.
yeah, and the owlbear, the killer of low-level
Oh, the
adventuring
owl
parties.
bear, man.
You haven't lived until you've been killed by an owlbear at first level.
Or a hook whore.
Yeah, or that. I don't know. They usually bump into more owlbears than you would a hook horror.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, if you're out in the open, out in nature,
I don't think
owl
I've
bears are it.
I don't think I've ever ran an owlbear. I mean a hook horror.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I've run hook whores. I ran hook whores in a campaign where they came upon a hook horde like den,
Yeah.
and Therm killed the babies.
Well, the hook horror gonna
I
do.
was like, why are you killing the babies?
Yeah, you grow up to be a big hook horror. No, I take that back. I probably did because when I first got the Fiendifolio, I always found opportunities to run monsters.
Monsters from there.
Yeah, so I probably did. So I don't really remember anything about that. All right, let's give the
All right,
giant
so
otter its due.
giant otters. Giant otters dwell in lakes and rivers. These creatures are basically non aggressive, but if threatened or cornered, they can fight fiercely. These creatures love to play. Sliding and tag are favorite pastimes. If such play is in progress when the otters are encountered, the creatures might panic horses, overturn wagons, accidentally break carts, etc. Even in the water, similar dangers exist with regards to boats and other small craft. The otters may accidentally overturn them in playfulness. If
Oops.
discovered in their lair, there'll be 5 giant otters, 2 adults, 3 young. Pelts for giant otters sell from 1 to 4,000 gold pieces.
Wow,
That is
man. You ever
unacceptable.
short of
Giant
money,
otters,
dude? Go find some giant
giant
otter.
otters are a treasure. I love otters.
Mm,
One of my favorite animals. In fact, we used to call Minnie a little swimming otter because when Minion swims,
yeah.
his little head would be poked up like an otter. Like he swims like an otter. Most of his body's underwater.
His little head popping up.
Yeah,
Doo-doo-doo.
just a little otter head. I'm like, man.
All right, so
All
this
right.
this Odiog has more of a description. So let's see what
Yeah,
we missed out on.
this is your more standard Audiog.
Yep.
These weird monsters are omnivorous scavengers, not at all hesitant about adding a bit of fresh meat to their diet of dung, offal, and carrion. They hate direct sunlight or bright light, so they are found underground in most cases. Usually, with a 90% chance, only a single individual is encountered. Audio typically live in partnership with other subterranean monsters. The Audiog will dwell in a truce state with other powerful monsters in order to scavenge droppings and other leavings. In most cases, Audiog live in piles of dung and rubbish and thrive here. Dude, this is making me sick. They're piles of poo.
Yep.
They've always been piles of poo. Oh my god. The Odiog has a sensory organ, stalk, and 2 tentacle arms which protrude from its hideous body. These eyes are always thrust above the offal the creatures lair under, so they sleep under poo, and the little eyes pop up out of the poo. And this prevents surprise, so no surprising them while they're in the poo.
Yep.
Its tentacles have sharp ridges and are used to deliver smashing blows to prey. The creature's mouth is sucker like and filled with many teeth. If it bites any victim, they are 90% likely to be infected by disease, typhus, because of the poo. These monsters have. Huh?
They don't say what kind of disease though. That's the DM's
Typhus. It
choice.
literally says typhus.
Typhus. Oh Jesus.
Yeah, in parentheses it says typhus.
Yeah, but
I
then
was
as
like,
the
that's not a
DM, you
flu
gotta go look.
disease,
You gotta look that up, and there's no
right? It's
internet back then.
just a poo disease.
I'd just be like, save for poison or what, or die.
Or die. Save or die. These monsters have no interest whatsoever in treasures as humans know it, but their partners may, occasionally making the guarding of treasure they value a condition of allowing Odiug to dwell in semi symbiosis with them. Odiug speak their own language and are semi telepathic, thus able to communicate with other life forms when the Odiug so desires.
Guess he senses their
Yeah,
feeling.
no. Oh, I'm gonna hang out in my poo. Ew. All right, on to the giant owl. I'm done with that piece of poo. Giant owls are rarely encountered as they inhabit only very wild places. They are nocturnal predators and effective hunters. Giant owls speak their own language. Giant owl strikes with its two sets of sharp talons and its strong beak. Its feathers allow it to fly with nearly absolute silence, thus it surprises on a 1 to 5 on a six-sided dice. Whew. These creatures are intelligent and will sometimes befriend other creatures. If encountered in their lair, there's a 20% chance that there will be 1 to 3 eggs, 1 to 3 hatchling owls, and 20 to 70% grown. Parents will always attack any creature threatening their eggs or owlets. Eggs sell for 1,000 gold pieces, young for 2,000 on the open market. That's not even counting the black market, son.
Yep.
Take that, Harry Potter. And last but certainly not least is the owlbear. The horrible owlbear is probably the result of genetic experimentation by some insane wizard. It literally is. These creatures inhabit the tangled forest regions of every temperate clime, as well as subterranean labyrinths. They are ravenous eaters, aggressive hunters, and evil tempered at all times. They attack prey on sight and will fight to the death. The owlbear attacks with its great claws, 2 inches long and large males, its snapping beak, and then it grasps a victim and squeezes and bites it to death.
Uh-oh.
If it scores a paw hit on an 18 or better with either of its forelimbs, the owlbear has dragged the victim to itself. The opponent will take an additional 2 to 18 hit points of damage from the hug, owlbear hug. That
Mm,
melee round and every round thereafter until the owlbear is killed. Note it doesn't say that until you break free of it.
yeah.
Note that if the armor class of an opponent is such that 18 is insufficient to hit, the hug is not effective. Oh. So if you need a 20 to hit, but it still has 18, you are hugged, but you don't take any damage.
Yeah, they just assume that your armor protected you from his
Yeah.
claws.
If encountered in their lair, there's a 25% chance that there'll be a d6 amount of eggs. Eggs are worth 2,000 gold pieces. Young are worth 5,000 on the open market. Owlbears have brownish black to yellow brown fur and feathers. 1,300 to 1,500 pound males will be darker colored. The beaks of these creatures are yellow to ivory. The eyes are red rimmed and exceedingly terrible to behold.
So, Eric, did you ever you got a chance to play Keep on the Borderland, did you?
No.
What the hell, dude?
I know. I'm telling you, dude. I didn't play any of the. Our DMs were all homebrew back then.
Well, I'm not saying anything bad against that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. I missed out on a lot of those good. Like I said, that's why I love Temple Elemental Evil so much because it was really the only one that I remember definitively because that was really the only module that we ran.
Yeah. So the reason why I put in the owlbear, the killer of low-level adventuring parties, most players of the '80s did their first adventure was um either Keep on the Borderland,
Yeah.
and then sometimes it was B1, but that was only for the first year. But then after that, they just always kept with Keep on the Borderland. In the Caves of Chaos, there is an owlbear. And if
Okay.
this is your first time playing D&D, you just like, well, it's a monster. I have to kill it.
Yep.
and you died because
You
it
don't
would
know what
chase you.
when to run.
It would chase you. Yeah, you learn then.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
lost a character. My first time playing, my character died. They grabbed him and was able to pull and run with him, and we lost a few of our henchmen, but they were able to resurrect me. I went down to zero, so I mean I died, but it wasn't. My DM was like, "Take another hit, you're dead." I was like unconscious, but
Mhm.
there were like different rules back then for first edition when it
Yeah.
came to that.
Yep.
So he was kind of generous. I thought that was kind of cool of him, where he could have just said you're
Yeah,
dead.
I don't think you there weren't death saves per se. I think it was, system shock.
Yeah, something to
System
that effect.
shock percentages.
And so we got out of the caves, and then we went back to the keep, and then we healed up, and then used some of the treasure that we find to hire more people to come with us. They're like,
Eh,
don't mind those other guards, those henchmen that didn't make it with us, those
yeah, those
mercenaries.
weren't our henchmen, those were somebody else's.
Yeah, we're taking more. And then once we had leveled up to like third, I looked at the group and I go, you know what we gotta do. And they're like, yeah.
Oh, shit.
We're all
You're
little
like, "Let's
kids.
go
We're like,
back to that
yeah,
owlbear,
we're like,
son.
kill the owl bear, kill the
Kill
owl
the
bear.
owlbear." Like
Yeah,
Bugs Bunny.
yeah, we went in there, we got jacked up, but we killed the owl bear. And we were like, yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
And then there were other things.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, the owl bears are brutal. Love owl bears. All
Yeah, I
right.
love an owlbear.
Here we go. The wrap up. The next video, part 13, Eric. 13 videos. We've done 12 so
13,
far.
man.
The letters P, Q, and R. Let me check the time right here. We have a Dallas approval. Oh, we're at 56 minutes, dude.
Look at that.
Look at that. We're gonna
Running
be
it under.
yeah. Well, not really once we start talking. But
Yeah, the wrap up will take 40 minutes.
let's hope not. So, what was your favorite monster from N and
I
O?
have to, you know what? I have to go with the night hag. I love hags, dude.
Yeah.
My current homebrew that I'm running is they are a coven is a major player. I hope they're not listening, but oh well. If they are, I'll lie.
Yep.
Yeah, I love hags. Hags are amazing, dude, especially with all the new how they fleshed them out in the newer um versions, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So many different ones, and covens can be you can combine different night hags in the same or combine different hags in the same coven, and it's crazy. They have henchmen and followers and cults, and they're awesome. And they're fey, and I love the fey.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are great, man.
So for me, I actually put that in there. It's like I made an ogre priest monster because I was inspired by the ogre mage, so it's kind of easy to
Yeah.
make that jump. And he was a seventh level spellcaster, so he could cast like fourth level cleric spells. And so when when my adventuring group went against like about three ogres, there was an ogre cleric there and or ogre priest, and they didn't know. And so they were dishing out damage, and he was in the back. And the first time he casted a spell, they thought it was like, oh, it's an ogre mage. And then started casting spells they weren't used to. Like I blinded one person.
They're like, what?
Right? Yeah, they're like, man, when does he do that? And they were about to kill an ogre. And the reason why I chose like seventh level is because I was able to cast Cure Serious Wounds on the
Ooh,
ogre, and they did not like that. They're like, wait, that's not ogre mage. I go, I never said it was an ogre mage.
right?
And so
Sorry, metagamers.
yeah. And so as a DM, it's just fun to like tweak with monsters and since first edition, shocker, a lot of DMs have always had goblins, hobgoblins, gnolls, all of them giving them at least like cleric or priest or shaman abilities.
Uh,
And when it comes to like hobgoblins and goblins and kobolds, they've always made them like to like a third level wizard and stuff like that.
yeah.
Because you got to throw in variety and a little bit of spice on that. And
Yeah, you have shamans and all that stuff.
so last question here before we do one more. um, what monsters would you like Eric and I to do a video on? And so, leave a comment below. Really appreciate that. If there's something you want to like of all the monsters that we've done so far, and it doesn't even matter. It could be like up anywhere up to fifth edition. If there's a monster, we'll do a solo video on it.
Oh yeah.
Eric and I really enjoy monsters and the histories of monsters. What there are different editions, and so we'll give you our
We get
take.
to go through their origin, when they first appeared,
Yeah,
what
all.
modules they might have been big in. That'd be cool.
Yep. So, we're now at an hour, and I know Dallas should be pleased with this. And for those of you who don't know, that's Eric's wife. But we have one more thing to talk about, and that is orcs. There's a reason why I skipped over them to the end because
Orcsies.
what um have you ever used an orc horde in your campaign?
No, I have not. I've always
Really?
preferred Knoll. Yeah, I prefer Knolls.
Yeah, I can see that.
If I'm gonna use a lower level mob like that, I use Knolls.
Yeah, actually, because of like Lord of the Rings, it was inspired by
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
I did have a mid-level group. They're probably like no higher. They were like seventh to ninth level. Um, defend a village like seven samurais against a horde of orcs, and they fought off like 100 to 150 orcs, not all at once.
Man.
But they just came like at first, they came and it was just the typical, seven samurai setup where, they came into this village and they're like, the villager spoke to them and say, look, we got these bandits who are orcs and they keep coming in here and stealing all our crops. And the crops are almost done or ready to be harvested, and they're gonna be coming any day now. And they had like
Hmm.
apple trees and wheat and all this stuff. Like they're a little breadbasket area.
Yeah.
And because they were so far distant from their liege lord, um, sometimes they didn't get taxed. But because
Hmm.
of that, he really didn't send help that way. It was just one of those things where it's like, I
If
really,
you remember that.
yeah, it's like one of those things where,
Oh yeah, I got those guys out there.
yeah, I mean, maybe I should tax them, but I always forget to send a guy out there or something. And so the party, seventh to ninth level, we're talking like wizard, we're talking cleric, we're talking fighter, we're talking like a ranger. I'm not sure if we had a paladin, but maybe a thief. But it was a well-rounded group.
Hmm.
And no, it was a druid, and they're like, yeah, we'll take on your little orc bandits, and they showed them this this ancient map that they had, and this map was a clue that they were looking for to achieve this artifact. And
Hmm.
so they were like, okay, once they saw what it was, they're like, okay, we'll stay and help. So I sent like 30 orcs after them, and
Oh
of
shit.
course the orcs just come riding through, and I had them riding like giant boars and stuff, and they come in, and the characters are all hiding in different positions, and they ambush them, and they kill almost all of them except for one. One got away.
Hmm.
So then they come back with like, I don't know, 50 orcs, and now the orcs have kind of like figured out. I mean, figured out, yeah, where they are, where they're at, and what's going on. And I threw out this little village, kind of similar to the Seven Samurai, and I
Hmm.
had them like approach in all different areas. So each character was basically fighting off like 10, 10 orcs,
Uh-huh.
and 10 orcs on a character.
Yeah, dude. Even if they only have 10 hit points, man, that's still 10 attacks.
Yeah, and different things, and it got pretty brutal. And the other thing was I didn't give them a chance to rest. Like this happened at the very beginning of the morning. So then
Okay.
the second wave, and then the third wave, they came in with everything afterwards because they were just determined to kill them. Because the
Hmm.
warlord's like, I just lost like half my troops, so they've got to be out of all their fireball spells and all this other stuff, which they were, like
Mhm.
half of them and everything. And it was brutal. I mean, like half the villagers died, and
Oh, crap.
yeah, one player character had to be resurrected because he died afterwards.
Woo.
And so yeah, it was fun. They really enjoyed it because at first they were just like orcs, and they just laughed, and I was like, okay, and
Like,
like
orcs, whatever,
yeah,
man.
because every 10 orcs, I gave a sergeant, and every sergeant had a +1 sword. And
Okay.
then, every like 50, like I was kind of using like their guide right there. I made him a little bit tougher orc, and I gave him like a +2 sword. And so by the time they had to deal with like the leader, I think they gave the leader like a sword of
Mhm.
and him
Ooh.
with his elite group of 10, and they were
Yeah.
like buffed up orcs. And
Mhm.
I think I had him wearing like chainmail and with a
Yeah.
shield. And so um that was brutal. I mean,
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. I like the wave idea.
yeah. And you don't let them rest, because if you let them
Yeah.
rest, if
But
they
you
would have
you
got
may
one,
give them like, nowadays, you might give them like, a short rest in
yeah,
between waves, but
yeah,
not a long rest.
yeah. So if they would have even had a short rest, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. The fact they couldn't get we didn't have short rests back in first edition,
Yeah, they just rest,
and
yeah.
it was just, they had to wait, and that's what scared them after the second wave. I go, and now
Mhm.
the dusk is really coming up, and more war horns are blowing from each side, and the characters are like, "What?" Like, "How
Yeah,
many orcs have
dude.
we killed?" Like, they were all counting them out. He's like, "We already killed 50, 60 orcs." I was like, "Well, it looks like there's more." And it took us like 2 sessions to do this,
Nice.
and I had a great time. And it's like, just
That's,
like,
yeah, that sounds cool. I like that.
oh, so, for all you young DMs out there, you don't have to do like 125 or 30 orcs, but, for first level party, 20 orcs in waves, or 10 or 15 orcs
Mhm.
in waves, little waves, is a nice way to start the game,
Right?
especially at first level when you guys are being protectors of a village.
Yeah.
All right, anything to add to this, Eric? We're now at an hour and 7 minutes, so Dallas should be happy.
Woo! No, I think we've said enough.
I think we have too. All right, with that,
Alright.
people, if you made it this far, appreciate the hitting the like button, and if you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. We are going to be doing D&D videos every Friday. I'm going to be doing more D&D content. Eric's going to try to jump on as many as he can, but there are
Mhm.
some other ones that I'm just going to be doing solo because Eric and I work schedules. Um, they
Yeah,
usually
crazy
conflict.
schedules,
Yeah, we have like weird schedules. Not like we both work 9 to 5 jobs, that type of thing.
right?
All right, people. Catch you later.
Later, guys.